So with that being said, today I will be coming from my assignments from the book of Judges. We're going to be in Judges chapter 7, the first 7 verses, a very common set of scripture. Judges 7, 1 through 7. I'll be reading from the NIV. For those who had a Bible, you can read it on the screen. Early in the morning, Jerubbaal, that is Gideon, and all his men camped at the spring of Harod. The camp of Midian was north of them in the valley near the hill of Moreh. The Lord said to Gideon, "You have too many men. I cannot deliver Midian into their hands, or Israel will boast against me. My own strength has saved me." God just knows us. Our own strength have saved us. Verse 3, "Now announce to the army, anyone who trembles with fear, anyone who's scared, may turn back and leave Mount Gilead." So 22,000 men left, while 10,000 remained. 22,000 men said, "Deuces, we gone." Verse 4, "But the Lord said to Gideon, you still have too many men. Take them down to the water, and I will thin them out." Someone say thin. Then sometimes God has to do some thinning in our lives for our benefit. Thin them out for you there. If I say this one shall go with you, he shall go with you. If I say this one shall not go with you, he shall not go with you. So Gideon took the men down to the water. There the Lord told them, "Separate those who lap the water with their tongues as a dog laps from those who kneel down to drink." 300 of them drank from cupped hands, lapping like dogs. All the rest got down on their knees to drink. And this is the verse right here. "Then the Lord said to Gideon, with the 300 men that lapped, I will save you and give the Midianites into your hands. Let all others go home." And the subject I got for today is the odds are stacked against you. The odds are stacked against you. We pretty much hear that phrase a lot. That phrase is pretty much used to describe a situation in which someone or something does not have a good or fair chance of winning. They do not have a good or fair chance of succeeding in something, achieving something due to some existing circumstances, due to some existing conditions or obstacles that are likely to present difficulties. And we can all agree in this text, Gideon is faced with an unfair situation, facing a season of loss. That's a difficult thing to accept. It's difficult. It's easy to accept increase. It's difficult to accept decrease. It's easy to accept abundance. It's difficult to accept the thinning out. It's some areas of my life where I don't like to see numbers being reduced. Let's just keep it real. Of course, when people get ready for that summer body, we want to see that number reduced. But you don't want to see your bank account number reduced. In certain situations, like in my car, it tells me how many miles I got left. And I do not like that. I don't like knowing how many miles I got left till I got to pay some money. Whenever I'm driving, I go, okay, I got 300 left. Then I'm like, oh, it got to 150 real quick. Goodness, I don't get paid till a few days. I got to hurry up. But we don't like seeing certain situations where those numbers go down. Because many of us, when we on vacation, we enjoy ourselves. We spend money. The last thing you want to check is your bank account. Because you don't want to see them numbers decreasing. Certain situations in life where you don't like to see. And I'm pretty sure if you're preparing to go to war, you don't want to see the number of your men decrease. You don't want to see the number of people that's supposed to be with you thin out. But Gideon is faced with a situation that God orchestrated. Gideon is faced with an unfair situation that God set up. God set it up this way. God created Gideon's army went from 32,000 to 10,000 to 300. Just like that. Gideon's army, he was already outnumbered 1-4. So he's already overmatched. So the odds are already stacked against him. And God just stacked it even more against him. It went from 1 to 4 to 1 to around 450. Those are some bad odds. So in the human eye, we wouldn't take that bet. But to God, God is saying this is perfect. It's difficult to accept when God is calling you to do an assignment and he calls you to something and that assignment, the odds are stacked against you. God created this situation. Gideon accepted this. He accepted this assignment, and God created this unfair situation. And I put a lot of emphasis on God created this because we don't think about that a lot. We think about God creating increase for us, where we don't think about God creating situations where the obstacles are there, where the odds are stacked against us. Why would God do that? That's one of the most common questions a lot of people ask. You led me to this, so why are the odds stacked against me? Because we believe when God is on our side, everything should be easy. We believe when God is on our side, I always wanted to say this, things should be fair and easy peasy lemon squeezy. I always want to find a reason to say that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. We just feel like, hey, it should be no obstacles in my way. But God created this situation. And you know, I'm 31 years old, and it wasn't until when I was 25 that I became comfortable with how unfair life is. Because life is just going to be unfair. Life is not always fair. Life is not always fair. We just have to be comfortable and just knowing that life is going to be life. And there's times where the odds are going to be stacked against you based on many different factors, based on your skin color, based on your gender, based on your economic background, based on your culture, based on how much money you have, the community you live in, the school you go to. The odds can be stacked against you because certain people have certain advantages. Certain genders have certain advantages. Certain skin colors have certain advantages. Can we be honest about that? Certain people have certain communities have certain advantages. That's why a lot of us pay attention to what community we move to. Or when it comes to parenting, what school district we put our kids in. Because certain districts have certain advantages. Like right now, it was a conversation that was talking about NBA prospect, like the high school athlete. Like these top high school prospects should choose HBCUs over the Ivy League schools like Duke, North Carolina, and all them big AP type schools, Ivy League schools. And people are like, oh, well, they're looking at the advantages. The advantages. Because certain people have certain advantages. And it depends on where you at is the advantage you get. Like when I started growing in my comedy and stuff like that, and my talent starting to get recognized, people was like, hey, bro, it's time to move. And at one point, I did contemplate leaving Kansas City and going to a bigger market, because that's what it was. Hey, if you want to be seen, if you want to be on that level you want to be at, you need to move. And so at one point, it got shut down real quick by my mama. At one point, Chicago was in the picture. At one point, California was in the picture. Now, not New York per se, but Chicago, California area, San Diego, LA, and Denver. I was really leaning. Denver was really looking appealing to it, brother. You like Denver? Like, yeah, it's, I visited a few times and I kind of liked it. But the reason that my mind was shifting because I looked at the advantages. Because they saying trying to make it where you are, the odds are stacked against you. And then so when I think about my spiritual life, I've been in church my entire life. I grew up in this church. My great-grandmother had me and everybody in church at a young age. Had us singing first to start. I don't even like singing. I know I can't sing, but she didn't care. I'm just up there, this little light of mine, I'm gone. All because my granny was like, you singing today. You go in rehearsal, you singing. And you better sing with a smile on your face. And then after singing, I was like, look, she's like, okay, you're not going to sing, you're going to do ushering. Then I had to usher. I'm like, I got to do all that standing. And I can say this now but my trick was I love being at that time at the church we're at, like being an usher in the aisle because of the door. I could lean on the door to rest a little bit. My little feet was hurting, I would just lean back and rest a little bit on the door. Because I was like, this is too much. This is too much. I know Granny probably like, this boy. But that's why I'll take the aisle because I want to rest a little bit. I feel sorry for the people up there because they don't got nothing to lean on. And the thing that got me about ushering was that grew up an athlete. I'm constantly on the move. Baseball, you moving. Basketball, you moving. Just in sports, you're doing a lot of movement. But now in this situation, I'm being forced to stand still. And so it takes discipline to stand still. See, people be so quick to say, God told me to leave. But faith is not all about just leaving. Faith is about staying at times. When you want to leave and God's saying, you better sit your butt down and be still. Because we're so quick to leave. Especially right now, like they said, this is like the great resignation of corporate people leaving. Quick. They get a job, they don't like it. Hey, I'm gone. Boom, out of here. And then a lot of times we don't stay in a place long enough for God to even do something in it. You want God to do something in a situation, but you get up and leave. And it's like, can I get some time to work? 90 days might not be enough time for me. You need to sit there for a minute. You just gone. But it takes faith to stay. But when I say all this to talk about my background and faith, because I believe, my faith is at a certain level where I feel like it carried me and it's strong. But no matter how much faith I have, no matter how close my relationship with God is, it still catches me off guard when he leads me to a situation where the odds are stacked against me. When he leads me to a situation where I feel like it's unfair. Like, if you love me and you called me to do this, then why did you leave me here? But when we think about this, we serve the same God that led Moses to the Red Sea. And I'm pretty sure the odds were stacked against him. Red Sea, Pharaoh behind him, you are trapped. You ever felt like God set you up? God led you to a trap? And so that God we serve, the same God, this is the same God that put on David's heart to fight Goliath. Overmatched, with no military trained experience. The odds were truly stacked against David. So there's times in our life where God will lead us into a situation knowing that the odds will be stacked against you. And we say, why would he do something like that? In this text, verse 2, the Lord told Gideon, you have too many men, and I cannot deliver Midian to their hands, or Israel will boast against me. My own strength has saved me. And the reason God stacked the odds against us is because he wants the credit. So God can be notorious for setting us up, putting us in a situation where the odds are stacked against us, because as humans, we're notorious for not giving him the credit he deserves. And not just any credit, full credit. Not partial credit, not some credit, not a sprinkle of credit. God wants full credit. He wants his name bigger than everything else that's on the list of credits that you give things for. When you see in the movie, you see the credits and you see those small, a lot of us have God written very small and scrolling really fast on the screen where people can't even catch it. But God wants full credit. Because yes, we serve a loving God. Yes, we serve a remarkable God, phenomenal God. He's dependable, he's reliable. But above all things, we should also know that our God is a jealous God. We cannot forget that our God is a jealous God. He said, you should have no other gods before me. And yet, here we are. It's people out here giving things more credit than God, giving people more credit than God, giving creations more credit than a creator. Now, can I be more honest? People out here giving the universe more credit than God, which is crazy. Ridiculous. It is people out here, you see it a lot. People give the universe more credit than God. People give their talent more credit than God. People give other people more credit than God. When it was God who did all that. It was God who orchestrated everything. It was God who touched those stubborn hearts to open those doors for you. It was God who opened the doors for you. God who closed the doors for you. God who put your name in people's mouths that never even heard of you. It was all God. God orchestrated all this to make it happen. God orchestrated all this to make it do what it do. And yet you thinking the universe? Just can't do nothing but laugh. People told me, because I didn't really, I don't really go around just telling people, oh yeah, I'm a Christian, I'm a believer. I just like talking to people. And like I said, I'm in a comedy world too. I run across a lot of agnostics. I run across a lot of atheists. I run across people that just, hey Nick, if you work hard enough, the universe will open the door. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Nah, get away from me. Just work hard enough, the universe will open all them comedy doors. Like, oh, well, God made all this happen for me, bro. Like, that's when it's all said and done. I know who did it. I know who touched the hearts of people. I know who put my name in favor of other people. And I know who created the universe. Now, somebody listening don't like it, you could tune off. But I'm going to keep it a buck. I'm going to keep it 100. Whatever your slang is for real, I'm going to keep it that way. Period. But God orchestrated this entire thing and stacked the odds against Gideon and the Israelites so badly because he didn't want them to become confused. And so when I think about people thinking in universe, people giving more like their, agents and their bosses and all these people that gave opportunity more credit than God, they're just simply confused. And God don't want you to be confused. He wants you to know what it is. He wants you to know. I'm going to make the odds so bad that you have no choice but to say nothing but God. Nothing but God. Because imagine if you had all the resources, would you really need God? If God put something on your heart to do, blessed you with an assignment, and he gave you all that you needed, would you have to depend on him? No, but when God gives you an assignment and you know you don't even have the financial resources to make it happen, and it happened, you can't do nothing. Oh, that was God right there. Because I don't know how he made this little money stretched, but he did it. I know I couldn't do this. When you know you don't have the qualifications to get that promotion, and yet you got it, God will make the odds so bad, so you won't be confused. Gideon is preparing to go to war with the Midianites. Already stacked against him, and God made it even worse. Which I wouldn't know how, if I know how I'll feel. I'm like, God, you set me up to fail. I'm about to go to war. Like these people been oppressing me and my boys for 7 years. And here's the thing. The Midianites have been oppressing the Israelites for 7 years. But here's the thing. God allowed that to happen. God allowed that oppression to happen because in chapter 6 of Judges, verse 1 said the Israelites did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. So the Lord handed them over to Midian for 7 years. So it's safe to say that their bondage was a result of their disobedience. So you could bring trouble unto yourself and then get mad at God about it. We have the gift of choice. We're not, when God tells, we don't just do everything. We can choose, pick and choose. And I say it all the time. It's important for us to realize this gift of choice we have and the power of it. We get to choose. And yes, you have the freedom to choose, but you also need to understand there are some consequences with every decision you make. And so, yes, they were having fun, living life, did evil inside of the Lord, and God made something happen. He brought them into the hands of Midian. And now they're in a situation that they got themselves into. You could see some people, and then here's the thing. That's tough love. Tough love is real. God didn't ignore them. He brought them in bondage because he knew that this was going to turn their hearts back to him. He didn't simply just ignore them. No. Last week, y'all saw my basketball coach, Coach Wallace, who was who? Pastor Rob. And he used to say something to the players all the time, because players were like, hey, why are you always on us? He'd be like, I'm on you because I care. I care about your future. I know what you're capable of. I know what you want to do. So don't worry when I'm speaking to you. The day you should worry is the day I stop speaking to you. Because that means I don't care. I don't care about what you do. I don't care about your future. I don't care about anything about you, boo-boo. So just know. So as long as I'm speaking, I care. And sometimes the best thing that happened to us is tough love.
That's right.
Growing up, I never understood tough love. Now I understand tough love. Because you can do a disservice bailing people out all the time. Sometimes you got to let them suffer some things. Because in the suffering, God is working on them. And in this suffering, the Israelites are getting tired. They're getting agitated. It's been 7 years going. And here's the thing about the Midianites. The Midianites is when I read they are just gangsters. Because they didn't always come around. They only came around when the Israelites had something awful. The Midianites did not continually occupy the land of the Israelites, but only came at the time of harvest to steal what the Israelites grew. So when nothing was happening, you didn't see them. But the second something started to happen, they come around. Don't that sound kind of familiar in your life? They don't come around when nothing happening. When nothing happening, nobody come around. But the second things start moving, things start growing, things start happening in your life. Hey, what's up, nephew? What's going on? Like, nah, brother. When I was broke, I didn't hear nothing from you. Now I got some money in my pocket. Here you come. People only come around when it's time to harvest. When it's time to reap the benefits, here they come. But they wasn't with you shooting in the gym. They wasn't with you. See, athletes, it'd be funny when I hear athletes tell stories on when they got drafted, here come their daddy. Like, nah, come on. You wasn't with me. It was my mama coaching me, my mama doing all this stuff for me, my mama taking me to practice, my mama taking me to games. But the second now I walked into a contract, here you come. Because people would do that. People, you don't hear nothing from them. But the second blessings start flowing your way, they start coming around, wanting to take credit for nothing they had no part in. No word from you. No word. I was one of the first people in my class with a car. People I didn't even know. Hey, what's going on? I don't know you. I'm not giving you no ride, brother. But people come around when they feel like you got something to offer. But when you're struggling, you don't hear a peep from nobody. But when you live in a blessed life and highly favored and blessings flowing your way, everybody want to come. And that's what happened. That's what happened. The Midianites came when it was time to reap that harvest. And they stole everything the Israelites grew, leaving them poor, leaving them hungry. And hence, when God called Gideon, Gideon was hiding because he was threshing wheat in a wine press because he didn't want the Midianites to steal. He's threshing wheat. And the threshing wheat in a wine press was just very odd because you don't thresh wheat in a wine press. If you put on a screen, you thresh wheat in an open field. Threshing wheat in the wine press, the threshing wheat one. Yep, the open one. That's how open you have to be to thresh wheat. But you see how open that is? Midianites can see that. They can come. They see you working hard. And then you turn around, you see a whole group of people come. You're like, crap. I did all this hard work just to have it taken from me. You ever felt like that before? You did all this hard work for them to just take all the credit. In school, you did all that research. You did all that writing. And then at the end, hey, put my name on that paper too, fam. Like, no. Your name not going on this paper. I did all this hard work. But they threshed wheat in the open. But Gideon was scared. He was protective of all the wheat. And so he was threshing wheat, put it in the wine press, put the picture up in the wine press. He's hiding in the wine press. And that's not the proper place to thresh wheat because you need the wind to blow away the chaff.
That's right.
So you need the wind to blow away the trash, to blow away the chaff, to blow away things that are not being used. But yet Gideon is unable to do that because of the Midianites just stealing their harvest. And so he's having to hide. Someone say hide. He's hiding. This was both difficult and humiliating, but he's hiding. But here's the thing. He's hiding from the Midianites, yet God still found him. There's no hiding from God. Now he's in private. He's in the ground. He's hiding from his enemies, and yet God still found him. So no matter how much you hide, no matter how much you try to hide, God still sees you. Adam and Eve tried to hide. That didn't work out. But you can hide those tears from your spouse. You can hide those tears from your parents. You can hide those tears from your children. But you can't hide those tears from God. God sees all that you're going through. That's why earlier today we were like, lay down no heavy. He know the burden you're dealing with. He see that stressing you out. You can hide it from people. We good at hiding. We're good at hiding. Naaman was hiding his leprosy. Good at hiding. We all have some type of armor that we hide stuff. People can be walking. You could tell something wrong with them, but they hiding it. They're not going to tell you. They're not going to open up to you. But God still sees him. And Gideon is hiding. And in private, he experienced, and Bishop mentioned this a few weeks ago, what we recognize as a theophany. He experienced that in private. So the Midianites can't find him. But Jesus found him. That goes to show you how we can never outrun our Lord. We can never outrun our Savior. No matter how much you try, God's still there.
That's right.
No matter how much you cry about it, get away from me, God is still there. He recognized as a theophany, which is an Old Testament appearance of Jesus Christ. And he said, the Lord is with you. you mighty man of valor. And Gideon is pretty confused, as I would be as well, because I see two things as a human being wrong with that perspective of myself. Because one, even Gideon said, wait, if God is with me, why is all this happening to us? Doesn't that sound pretty common? And that's probably one of the difficult things people, when it comes with Christianity, that people struggle to accept. If God is good, if God is with me, if I accept Jesus to my life, why am I experiencing what I'm experiencing? And that's what Gideon's saying. Why are my people going through what we're going through? If God is with me. If God is with me, first of all, your people going through what they're going through because of their disobedience. But a lot of times we always ask that question, why are we going through what we're going through? If God is with me, and it's so, we always just throw it out there. God is with you. God is with you. When people be grieving, God is with you. Yeah, it sounds good to say, but it's still hard to accept that God is with me. And yet, if God is with me, why did my loved one die? Oh, it's a whole bunch of other people. You ever did it? It's a lot of people out here doing wrong, God. Come on. You chose a good one. If God is with me, like you say, dude, he would have spared his life. If God is with me, why am I depressed? Why am I experiencing depression? If God is with me, why am I dealing with this sickness that I didn't bring unto myself? Just life brought this to me. If God is with me. If God is with me, why am I going through what I'm going through? I've asked that question. Yes. Spiritual leaders ask that same question. We're human too. If God is with me, why did you have this happen to me? Why all this happened to me, God? That was my number one mindset 5.5 years ago. Why is all this happening to me? I'm a faithful tither. You ever ran your resume? I do this. God, I'm a good person. She was a good person. You could have got such and such. I can give you a list of names. I got a list. Come on, look, we all human, we all do it. Cross our mind from time to time. We have a list of people that God, one of my favorite movies growing up was Trading Places. We like, God, I got a few people I can trade. I got some trading I can do for you. Now, will you accept this offer? Please. But why am I experiencing what I'm experiencing? But here's the thing, the reason the Israelites are experiencing what they experience is because God's ultimate purpose is to have their hearts turned back towards him. And so God is trying to get something out of them. And so when I think about when God allowed us to go through what we're going through, instead of asking, why are you doing this, God, I have to ask, what are you trying to get out of me? God is trying to get something out of you. May not know at that time, but ask God, reveal it. What are you trying to get out of me? What? Like I said, sometimes we put ourselves in trouble, and it's God chastening us. God, what are you trying to get out of obedience? You know you're doing wrong out here. You should feel some type of conviction. And that's the scary part, when people just do wrong and don't feel convicted about it. That's when you really need all right, okay, now that's a whole different story. Now people slip, people mess up, and like, look, I chunked that one up. I'm a sinner, I made a mistake. But when you have no wrong, isn't that scary when you're talking to somebody, they have no remorse on what they did? I know what I did and I'll do it again. Like, oh, no, that sounds bad. I'm scared now of you because you have nothing to lose. But you should feel some type of conviction. So instead of asking God why something happened, ask God, what are you trying to get out of me? And so so Gideon's response to why is this happening to me? And then second, wait a second, you call me a mighty man of valor. Do you know what that means, God? Do you know what that definition means? Because I'm the opposite. Like, it means, great courage in the face of danger. Here I am in danger of the Midianites. I'm hiding. In the wine press, I'm hiding. Doing something that look dumb. Because I'm scared. Because I'm simply, no, I wouldn't say scared, I'm simply trying to survive. See, a lot of times we do things that make no sense because we simply just trying to survive. And so a lot of times you judge the people on the decisions they making, well, they just simply just trying to survive. Why are you doing what you're doing? Girl, I'm just trying to make it. Brother, I'm just trying to survive out here a day at a time. So it's easy to say, oh, this brother's stupid and dumb for threshing wheat in a wine press, when if you in his shoes, you would do the same thing as well, because you simply just trying to survive. But mighty man, and God called him something that he wasn't indicating at the time, wasn't showing courage. Have God ever called you something that was opposite of what you was doing? No. Like I said, I was so shy, and I'm doing something so opposite of what he said, and I couldn't understand at the time. And so a lot of times, God sees something in you, but a lot of times that's not the problem. The problem is, do we see it? God see it, but do you see it? So I talk to a lot of people that one of the most things is encouraging other people, and yet they don't see it in themselves. Trying to get people to see the potential in themselves, and yet they are struggling to see it. And that can be exhausting. That can waste a lot. You can exert so much energy trying to get people to see something, see the potential in themselves, and yet they don't see it. And so the problem is, do other people see it, or does God see it, but do you see it in yourself? God saw this. And he said, I'm not courageous. My family is the weakest, God, and I'm the youngest. And yet you still want to use me. We're quick to run our resume while we can't be used by God. But here's the thing. Your resume might turn off employers, but your resume won't turn off God. God actually picked you because of your resume. God picked you because of your resume. He knew Moses really couldn't speak. That would have turned probably an employer down. But then it turned God down. You ran your resume by God, and God saying, perfect. Now let's play. God would choose you despite your resume. That's why we have to be careful never to belittle ourselves. Because you might feel like you can't do it, but with God you can. You might feel like you're not capable of doing it, but with God, you're capable of doing it. I heard someone say that if you give God your willingness, he'll give you his ableness. And I thought about that when it comes to myself. I feel like I couldn't do this, but I was willing. Back in 2009, when my mama and Bishop was going back and forth on whether I should do it or not, and I knew I couldn't do it, but I was just willing to do it. Oh, thank you. But I was willing. Are you willing to participate on what God has for you? Yes. Are you willing to participate? And once again, willingness is tied with choice. You see how choice ties into all that we do? Love is the foundation of Christian faith, and love is tied to choice. You get to choose Jesus or not. You get to choose a relationship with God or not. You get to choose. We're not forced to do it. Choose. And Gideon is the weakest in his family. It's the smallest family, but God is using it to do big things. And that's to defeat the Midianites. 135,000 of them. And so yet, Gideon has his 32,000 ready to go to war, and now God is thinning out his crew. Thinning out his army. Because the best thing that can happen to us is sometimes it's thinning out. Because sometimes we have people around us that's just all talk. It sounds good to say, oh, I'm down for whatever. But when whatever comes, all right now. You know, that whatever had an asterisk on it. Because the Bible says in chapter 7, verse is 135,000, but the Bible said the men were positioned where they can see the troops. Yeah. So they were able to see the 135,000. And God basically said, Gideon, ask you, whoever is afraid, to scram. Get out of here now. Go ahead, skedaddle. This ain't for you. Go ahead. Because they were able to see. Like I say, some people are with you until they have to really go through some tough times. Like I never been in a physical altercation before, and I never told somebody, hey, I'm riding with you for whatever. No. Because I know, because I will be that person. Deuces, you see that 135,000? I don't want that smoke. I'm comfortable in my skin and know who I am and who am I not. Who I'm not. I'm very comfortable. So y'all can talk about me all you want and roast me all you want, but I will be safe. I'll see y'all on the other side. I'll be reading the paper like, oh, wow, that happened last night. I knew I had to leave. I knew I had to leave. I made the right decision. But he had to thin out some people, and I would have been one of the members he had to thin out. Getting to ask Nick if he's afraid or not. He wouldn't have to, Nick, are you? I see them, and I'm gone. All right, back home I go. But he's thinning out the people. But God wanted the odds so bad that the victory would clearly be his all along. Because we have to thin out some unfit people in our lives. And that's a whole different story. It's a lot of people that's unfit. Yes, they've been around you for years. Y'all been buddies for years. But in this particular season in your life, they just don't fit. And I really hope this message encourages you, because with the wrong perspective, you would think when God brings you to a situation where the odds are stacked against you, that he's setting you up to fail. And you would think he's setting you up to fail. But here's the thing, in the workforce that happens, but God not setting you up to fail. See, pretty much it's common in workforce for when a boss is tired of an employee and he's ready for the employee to quit, or trying to give the reason to have the employee get fired, he will set the employee up to fail. It happens in workforce. It happens. But God not setting you up to fail. God is just positioning the situation that you have no choice but to give him the credit he deserves. A lot of times we have to be reminded on who deserves the full credit.
That's right.
We have to be reminded that, yes, you are very talented. You are smart. You do have resources. You have a nice support system around you at work, at church, in your family. But when it's all said and done, I'm God. I know your mama loves you and supports you and a rider, but I'm still God. I know your daddy supports you, but I'm still God. I know your church family supports you at all your events, but I am still God. And he has to remind us that, and so the odds will be so stacked against us, so that when he brings us through it, we have no choice but say, that was all God. And have no choice to say, isn't God good? Isn't God good? Isn't God good that he would do this so we can be reminded? He wants us to be victorious, but at the same time, he wants us to know that when it's all said and done, you were victorious because of his hand. You overcame that situation because of him. His hand was in that situation. Your marriage bounced back not because, I'm good at convincing him to come back. No, because it was God. The counselor was good, but yet it was still God. Your talents got you the spot on the team, but yet God still touched that coach's heart. God is above all, and he deserves all the credit.
Yes, he does.
And let's take a second and give God the full credit he deserves for the miracles in your life, for the blessings in your life, and the doors that he has opened for you. He deserves the full credit.